things are going up. So if you see basically the first one, ransom attack, like a 23% increase from the last year. Then malware attacks 11%, intrusions 19%, cryptojacking 30%, IoT malware 77%, encrypted threats 132%. So any kind of attacks you pick and see, like the trending of that, you will see they have increased and not increased, 1 to 2%, increased tremendously. And there are a few reasons behind that. People started digital transformation. More and more services are available online. People started working from home. So if you see, technology is playing an important role. As of today, your business runs on technology. You have a platform to do anything. You don't need to leave your house and everything will be done. You can work in the morning. You can basically, shop around. You can do your grocery online. You can learn online. You can do schooling. Everything is available online. So how these services are available because of the computers, but computers have applications. Those applications needs to be on the infrastructure. So that infrastructure needs to be protected. The application needs to be protected. The people who develop this application needs to be trained. So there is a need of cybersecurity, because if these attacks are going up and you don't have protection, what's going to happen? Your system, your infrastructure is going to be compromised. So as more and more attacks are coming, you need more and more resources and technologies to protect from them. And the shift that we have started basically, a few years ago, digital transformation, cloud, and all of that, that is basically exposing your assets to more and more people. And that's why these attacks, you see more and more of these attacks. So what you need to do as an organization, you need to understand how your assets are exposed to these threats. If they are exposed, what can be done to protect them? And in order to do that, then you rely on technology, processes, and people. Leading to the security demand, like we talked about the trends, and we started that presentation with the security skills gap and the career opportunities. So this slide basically talks about the demand of security professionals. So according to one of the report that I referred, there are around 700,000 cybersecurity positions available. The workforce shortage of cybersecurity is around 2.7 million. And there is a 13% increase year over year for cybersecurity professionals. So just imagine, there is no other profession in the world that has this much growth, that has this much shortcoming. So there are opportunities for people who are basically starting their career in cybersecurity, or who are in cybersecurity, to go to the next level, because companies are looking for professionals. Companies are looking for entry-level people who they can bring and train, because they need resources. So there is a huge demand, and there is an opportunity for the people who want to come to cybersecurity field. And this is not going to slow down in the next 5 to 10 years. Based on the business shift, based on the digital transformation, based on all the the remote work environment, technology, and everything, cloud, this trend is not going to slow down, and it's gonna increase. So there is a huge potential, huge opportunities for the people who wants to come to cybersecurity.
Can you talk a little bit to the skills gap that's shown there on the top right side of this slide here? 54% soft skills. That means, to me, a person who wants to get into this field has to be very cognizant of that half of their job is convincing people of the need and communicating the need for cybersecurity and the need for protection. Is that correct?
This is absolutely correct. And it's, remember we talked about why cybersecurity exists. Cybersecurity exists to help the business, to protect the business. So what you need to do as a cybersecurity professional, you need to interact with other people in the organization. You need to interact with the technology people. You need to interact with the compliance, legal, HR, privacy, everybody, sometimes finance people as well. So for that reason, soft skill is very important, especially as you grow to the next level. So as an entry level, maybe you're playing with the systems, you're playing with the technology, it's not that important. But once you go to the next level where you need to start interacting with the other people, soft skills become very, very important. So this is like, it's not a research work. Think, like cybersecurity, if you are in a research field, that's totally different. But if you're working for a bank, if you're working for an organizations like Apple, Google, all of these big organizations, their cybersecurity teams needs to work with other people, because you are not building anything for yourself. You are basically helping the organizations to stay protected. So for that, you have to engage your stakeholders, you have to engage your business, you have to work with technology people, and sometimes you have to work with your vendors as well. So because of that, the soft skill becomes very, very important. And then the other factors are basically, like the cloud. So most of the organizations are going to the cloud. So what is the most important for the organization is how to protect cloud. What are the security controls? What are the, cloud related security threats? So that is another skill set. They want people who understands cloud environment, who understand what cloud security threats are and how they can protect their cloud environment.
Salman, does it soft skills means it's also that how to convince your management that why security is important?
That was a case 10 years ago, where we had to go to the management and convince them why security is important and we need budget and resources for that. That's not the case anymore, because I usually say media has done that job for us. So
or the phishing emails, you can say.
Yeah, so everybody knows that, like, everybody in the organization knows why cybersecurity is important. So getting support from the management is not actually a challenge anymore. Getting funding from the executives is not a challenge anymore. Soft skills are required where you need to get things done by other players in the company. For example, if you find some gaps in your critical systems, you are not going to fix that. There is another engineer, there is another person in the department or in the company that is going to fix that. So you need to work with them. You need to convince them why these gaps are critical, what could happen, how they can compromise your environment. And then you convince them, they need to put efforts to fix that, because they will say their job is more important because they have 100 other things to do. So you need to convince them those 100 things are important. But if that gap exists, if that, like vulnerability, we call it, is there, it can bring your systems down, or it can bring some kind of compromise to your environment. So that is the convincing, that is the soft skills. But when you go to the leadership role, of course, you need to convince your partners, your customers. And the other thing is the third party. If somebody wants to work with you as an organization, they will ask you, do you have security controls? And that time your security leader needs to talk to that partner to convince them we have good security controls in place, so you can work with us. So on the leadership role, then that soft skill is basically convincing your partners, convincing your suppliers, and the management as well. But if you are on a junior role, soft skill is still important, because you need to convince your peers. They are the one who going to fix. You are not there to fix. You are just to identify what the gaps are, and you can help them to determine what the impact is. But at the end, they are the one who have control to the assets, and they can fix the vulnerabilities on the assets.
Thank you.
So some security or cybersecurity job titles, like cybersecurity analyst, cybersecurity consultant, penetration testing. There are a lot of titles in small companies, even like systems and network administrator. They're playing a role of cybersecurity, professionals. Even network engineers, security and system engineers, they're playing a role of cybersecurity, because this is part of their job. Like a 30%, 40% of their job responsibilities are security, depending upon the organization. But if you go a mid to large organization, security department has certain titles, and like security consultant, cybersecurity professionals, cloud security engineer, cloud security architect, security operations center analyst. So those are the typical titles mid to large organizations have, because they have a structure, they have a department which is responsible for cybersecurity and the risk. And because of that, the hierarchy or the structure, they have those titles and those roles available. But small organizations, they don't have dedicated staff, but the people who are basically part of technology, they do cybersecurity as part of their roles. Like if there is only a team of 5 people in the whole IT, then you can't hire like 3 security roles. What you need to do is basically train maybe 3 of them on the security technologies, so they do 30% of their job as a security professional. Okay. Any questions so far from the audience?
I don't see anything in the chat window. Oh, hold on a sec. Just 2 questions comes up. Salman, I am gonna. Why there are nearly 0 entry-level jobs? Salman Jaffrey has this question.
Why there are 0 entry-level jobs? There are entry-level jobs actually.
Maybe you can elaborate that at the end, Salman, that you were telling something in the beginning.
Yeah. So there are entry-level jobs, and those entry-level jobs are basically, somebody in the audience, he mentioned like he is doing that cybersecurity catalyst program with Rogers through Ryerson. So as part of actually, I have actually coached 5 people from that Rogers cybersecurity program who were new to cybersecurity, and after 6 months of the program, they got opportunity to work in the banks or other organizations as an entry-level professional. So there are entry-level jobs, but those jobs will come if you have little bit of education and little bit of experience. And that education and experience you can get through these programs, like Catalyst program through Ryerson, or there is a diploma from University of Toronto, or there are a lot of diplomas from Sheridan College, from Seneca College, 1-year diploma. Like if you have those diplomas and you have a mindset, you can get into the entry-level job. And there are more entry-level jobs than the professional jobs. Like I work as a leader, if I see there are only maybe 4 or 5 jobs available as of today. If you talk about entry level, there might be 2,000 or 4,000 jobs. So there are a lot of entry level jobs, but if you don't have the education, then it becomes difficult. Because for example, if somebody is basically, like an accountant, and they say, okay, I want to come to cybersecurity as an entry level, it's going to be very challenging. But if that accountant has done 6 months of cybersecurity, catalyst program, or has done some, 1-year cybersecurity diploma with one of the colleges here, then it becomes a little bit easier for that person to come to cybersecurity.
Great. So I have got another question from another person. Is it possible to get into penetration testing in entry level without prior experience? And then adding on to that question, further comment is usually there are SOC and monitoring level jobs at entry level.
So if you are a penetration tester, so penetration testing is not an education actually. You can be a very good hacker, even like you are in the school, and the good hackers are actually in the school and colleges because they have plenty of time and they can do everything. So if you have that kind of experience, which is not a job related experience, but experience of using the tools, experience of doing the discovery, experience of basically doing some of the exploits, experience of doing the Bunty Hugs program, then yes, you can come to cybersecurity field as a penetration tester. But if you don't have any of that experience, coming to cybersecurity, coming to a penetration testing field is going to be challenging, because then you need to learn, and then you need to learn on the job, and nobody is going to bring you on board and give you the systems that you can start hacking without prior knowledge. So they would expect at least how to use those tools, and what the limits are. Because if you basically start using those tools and compromise the site, which you are not supposed to do, there could be some legal repercussions of that. So if you are doing penetration testing or a little bit of ethical hacking as part of their free time, either in the school or college, or as a free time, like even during the other jobs, yes, getting into penetration testing is much easier, because penetration testing needs skills. Penetration testing needs have you done that work or not. They are not looking for certification or a degree. Like I have a role open in my team, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing specialist, and the only thing I'm looking for, has the person done that in, do they know what penetration testing means? Do they know what frameworks are available? Do they know what tools are available, and have they used those tools? Because that you can do in your free time. Actually, you don't need to go to any university or college. There are tools available, there are frameworks available. You can read, you can use those open source tools, and you can start practicing anything. And if you know how to use that, then yes, you can come to a penetration testing job. You don't need a degree for that. And the second question was related to monitoring. Yes. So entry-level jobs are usually in the security monitoring area, which is basically we call it security operations center, because that is where you need to detect and see what the security events are. And you need to have basically eyes on the glass and see what security events are, and then take the report, discuss with your seniors, and you do all the coordination work. So usually entry-level jobs in the cybersecurity start from the security operations center.
Excellent. So if any of you has got further comments or related questions what Salman is expressing, please do not hesitate to write it down or just raise your hand to speak up. And you can ask whatever the comments you have or any other questions. So moving towards another question. This one is really interesting. Looks like, so how we should play our role for our young generation to start for the right cybersecurity track from the very start of their graduation and do a focused study instead of unwanted other subjects. Very concerned parents look like.
Yeah. So they're actually, like, if you asked me 10 years ago, there was no program for cybersecurity. Now, I think most of the colleges and the universities have started concentrated cybersecurity program. And even people are doing MBA in cybersecurity. There is basically, a PhD program in cybersecurity. Like in Toronto area, I think most of the colleges that, we are aware of, they have cybersecurity program, either 1 year or 3 years program. Most of the universities, they have cybersecurity program. So it becomes actually much easier now to do cybersecurity focused education or study as compared to 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So nowadays, it is actually very, very easy to do cybersecurity focused program and focused study because most of the universities are offering that.
A Rogers Catalyst program, I think one of the attendees here has already mentioned that he's attending that. So this could be a good resource to start from.
This could be a very good source to start with. And after that, he can go to a 1 year diploma program. Then you can go to 3 years, bachelor's program. Then there is a master program available. There is a PhD available. So there are 2 tracks actually. One of them is basically the college and the university. The other is the certification. So college and university is basically you go to a diploma, bachelor's, master's, PhD, and these programs are available from actually most of the universities in Canada and the US. And if you don't want to do that, you want to take the certification track. There are certification tracks from different organizations like, Mile 2, EC Council, SANS, InfoSec Institute. There are a lot of institutes who basically offer those certification tracks. And then depending upon, what you want to do you want to be a security operations center, security analyst? You want to be a penetration tester? You want to be a risk consultant? You want to be a security architect? You want to be a cloud security engineer? These tracks are available. And for the cloud, actually most of these cloud providers like AWS, Azure, Google, they have launched even the security trainings free of cost. So people can go and actually attend those, free seminars, free trainings, and free certifications. So there is a lot of material available. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of courses, a lot of training, a lot of degree programs. If people want to, opt to a cybersecurity as a career or as an education.
I think this is a very general question. Every concerned parent, when they are looking forward to introduce their kids towards something which is new or which can be sustainable in the coming years to adapt as a future. I think this is a very valid question. And I would like to add one thing here, that the most accessible university is always on your fingertips, YouTube. So you have got tons of resources available to introduce yourself or your kids to have that understanding what actually cybersecurity is. Sessions like this, we are trying to do is, this is what actually the purpose is, to get to know people that what it is, why it is important, why you should do it, or your coming generations. You would like to guide your kids, your nephews, your niece, or whoever, then this is a good venue. Any other additional comments? Please write it down. I have got a few more questions. Salman, can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Rehan Bashir, our fellow from south of the border, is here too. And he has already added some comments in there. So please feel free to add it. And at the end of the meeting, I would definitely want Rehan to have some valuable comments added to whatever Salman is already delivering. I have got one more question here. How does it help for project manager? Is there any job available as cybersecurity PM in the market?
This is $1 million question. So project management actually is becoming more industry specific. If somebody is a project manager in the health sector and they have done all the health related work, I will not hire them as a project manager in cybersecurity. And currently, actually, I have a project manager role open in my department, and I am looking for somebody who has a cybersecurity experience, little bit of project management, but who has understanding of cybersecurity. So it is becoming a very important actually for project managers to learn cybersecurity or cybersecurity professionals to learn project management. Because if you want to basically stay close to the business, close to delivery, close to a leadership role, you can come to the project management and project management specific to cybersecurity. I have not seen many project managers with a cybersecurity expertise or knowledge, and very few people go to project management who are cybersecurity consultant or specialist. But I tell you, this is my interest area. I basically like to be, I like to manage projects. I like to manage programs, and I use my cybersecurity expertise or knowledge, and I do my basically business, and the project management knowledge. I use my business and the project management knowledge there as well. So this is a very interesting area if somebody is interested to basically be close to the business, do a little bit of hands-on, learn a little bit of, like a cybersecurity, knowledge, and then, run the projects. Like if somebody likes to play with the technology, they can be core security specialists, they can be security engineers, they can be, core security engineers. But if people, they don't like to play with the technology, they need to understand the technology, but run the business or stay more close to the business or manage teams, manage financials, they can basically be a cybersecurity PM.
Good. Salman, I have got one more question before we move on towards your presentation. Is CompTIA Plus or CompTIA Security Plus enough for an entry-level job?
Okay.
Yes and no.
It all depends what is your experience and the prior education. Because if your prior education is related to computers, then CompTIA Plus or Security Plus would be good enough, very good enough actually, to get an entry-level job. But if you don't have computer or technology or security knowledge or expertise or training or education, then Security Plus alone may not be helpful. So it all depends, we'll talk about that actually in the certification and the career roadmap. But it all depends, first you need to understand what you want to do in the cybersecurity, because there are a lot of openings, there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of different functions within cybersecurity. And then you see, okay, if I'm coming to this field and I don't have prior knowledge of computers, I don't have prior knowledge of technology, I don't have prior knowledge of cybersecurity, what is the starting point for me? It might be Security Plus, it might be something else.
Right. So Salman, should we not generalize the answer or the statement that it's not just CompTIA Security Plus, but any certification to start with as a fresh certification, and you think that you can hop into the job market or a good role, it could be a bit challenging, right? You would be lucky to get something, but without having the background or without having the proper knowledge, like you mentioned, or experience, it could be a little bit tough to even if you can land on the job, it would be tough to handle the situation.
Yeah, the easier part would be, like the certifications which are related to the products or the technologies. For example, like if somebody get basic knowledge of AWS cloud and the basic knowledge of, securing AWS cloud, that might be, an entry-level job in that area, because that is a very specific one technology, one solution oriented thing, and they can be master in that. Security plus is a very, very, very general, security knowledge. You will not get to know about the technology. You will not basically get hands-on experience on any of the solution. So if you're coming to an entry-level role and you don't have a past computer experience, then maybe select a technology and say, okay, this is something I want to learn, and I want to get an entry-level job in that area. This could be one option.
Okay, Salman, I have got one more question. I think it could be dealt with your upcoming presentations for the slides, but I would still like to read the question, and it will be your judgment.
We can answer this question, and then we can go to the slides. Yeah, we can answer this question.
What it takes to move to cybersecurity business, pre-sales or sales?
Okay, what is the question?
What it takes to move to cybersecurity business, like pre-sales or sales?
Okay. I'm not sure if I understand the question, but if you are a good salesperson, you can sell everything. So if you know cybersecurity and then you are selling cybersecurity, that makes life very easy. So I can share my example. Like when I was doing consulting, I used to have my sales arm as well. So my sales people, they were not cybersecurity professionals. They were business graduate, marketing, finance, or other degree. They had no knowledge of cybersecurity. So what I used to tell them, you open doors for me, and then I will take care from there. So their job was basically to prepare the list of the clients, do the phone call, do the email introduction, get a meeting, and then we take over from there. So if you like to do that, where you are a business person and you are opening the channels, you are opening the doors, and then you have a support from your technical team as a pre-sales, yes, you can be a sales guy because you bring your charisma into that. So your charismatic personality, your communication style will help to open the doors and then close the deal. But if you are a cybersecurity professional and you have experience, plus you like to be a sales, then you don't need a pre-sales with you. Then you basically can go do the sales and pre-sales together. But in a good setup, sales and pre-sales are two different roles. So salespeople, they don't need to have a cybersecurity experience or knowledge, but pre-sales people who gonna accompany you, they need to know cybersecurity. They need to have that knowledge, because without the domain knowledge, it's very difficult to do pre-sales.
Salman, Omar just added another note into his previous question. He's saying we are already in cybersecurity.
So hold your horses, and we will talk about that, like what you can do next in your career, because we will cover that in the career roadmap.
Excellent. All right, you can move on. I think that was the last question I had.
Okay. So very good. Actually, a segue to the next thing. But what is a cybersecurity career, and what are the areas, or what are the different functions that we can work in? So I would say, depending upon the organization, and like again, if you talk about a big organization, cybersecurity will have 500 people. If you talk about a mid-sized organization, there might be only 30 people. If you talk about a small organization, then maybe there will be 2 people doing all of these activities by themselves. But the breadth and the depth of those activities will be very limited. So when I quote examples, or when I'm giving a career advice, I'm considering mid to large organizations, because those organizations will employ 20 people, 50 people, 100 people. And those are the organizations that you want to target, because you want to go to the entry level, or you want to learn in those environments. You don't want to target an organization that has 2 people in technology or 3 people in technology, and you go there as entry level, because they will not entertain you. They don't need entry level people. They need expert people. Big, small to medium-sized organizations or large-sized organizations, they can give chance to entry-level people, or even the people who have less experience, because they need the new blood. So they basically bring new people, they train them, and then they move them up the channel. So in terms of the career choices, so you could be a risk and compliance specialist. This is all about basically paperwork. You play with the spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoint. You basically deal with the business. You understand what kind of controls needs to be there. So this is one area where you play less with the technology, but you understand the technology, what kind of risks and the threats are, and how these technologies can protect. The other could be security project management, which is a great area. If you are a project manager, you understand the basic principles of project management, which is basically the time, money, and the schedule. These are the three basic things. If you know these basic things and you can manage that, you could be a very good cybersecurity project manager. And if you know agile practices, and if you basically like a scrum master and all of that, that could be very, very good expertise, very good field actually to do cybersecurity project management, because companies are looking for project managers or scrum masters who have security understanding. Cybersecurity architect is another area where basically, but you have to be experienced for that. So cybersecurity architect is not an entry-level role. You basically play with the technologies, you understand the technologies, and then at one point of time you said, okay, I have a good knowledge of technologies or cybersecurity technologies, and I have a good understanding of the overall solutions where I can become a security architect. Cloud security, there are plenty of things in the cloud security you can do, and depending upon the cloud provider, you can learn their technology and a cloud security specialist, or you can start from one area and go to the next level. Network security, another thing, if you are a network engineer and you are already playing with router switches and firewalls, then you can be a very good network security person. And then from network security, even you can go to the cloud, or you can go to the security architect field as well. Application security, which is the a high demanding area, because most of the organizations, they are going to the cloud, so they have less infrastructure that they need to protect. They have they have less requirement for systems and network security, but the applications they are developing, they are business customized applications. So they need people who understand the cybersecurity or the security controls in the applications. And for that, if you are a developer or a programmer, that field is for you, because you understand software development lifecycle. You understand how the programming languages work. It will be much easier for you to grasp security controls, security requirements, and how to incorporate security into the software development lifecycle. So that field is basically for the people who have understanding of the programming, business analyst, development, and they can come to this area. And this area is going to grow because most of the organizations, they are going to the cloud, but the application development is staying within them. Security operations and threat intelligence, another area where basically you have technologies to monitor your systems, detect events and alerts basically, and then take actions on that. And here we need more resources, because what happens, people come to Security Operations Center, they stay on that role for a year or two, and then they move on. So this is a basically entry-level job where you go there, stay there for 1 or 2 years, and then move on to the next role, because you can't do Security Operations Center work for the rest of your life. You need to go to the next level. And there are different levels in the Security Operations Center, but the people who basically keep eyes on the glass all the time, usually these Security Operations Centers are 24/7. And people work in the shifts, day shift, evening shift, and then night shifts. So you could be basically part of maybe night shift, because in the daytime there could be more events, more alerts in the night shift or the evening shift. And then from there you start learning different technologies, and then see what is the next, either within the Security Operations Center or the other departments. Forensics and investigation, another area which is very, very specialized area. If you like to play with the tools, with the analysis, then this is another area that you can come into. But again, that is not an entry-level role. You need to be expert. You need to understand technology. You need to understand languages. You need to understand cybersecurity controls, and then you can come to forensics and investigations. So there are certain areas where you need to be a little bit expert, or you need to have basically a little bit of experience in the cybersecurity. There are other areas where you don't need a cybersecurity experience, and you can come an entry level and then learn on the job, grow within the department, or move to another functions within the cybersecurity. So these are only few of the areas that I have listed here. For big organizations, there could be many, many more. I'll go to the next slide, and then we can take questions if there are any questions. So before you actually go for any job, you need to understand the security organizations of that company or of that organization. So how the security department is structured. Because if you go to a company where they don't have a security department, you may not get into that, because they don't need any security professionals or any even entry-level positions. So you need to understand, what kind of functions are within the department, how big is the security department, what kind of things they do. So I have basically, summarized everything into four major sections. So a security department usually will have four key activities. GRC function, which is related to governance, risk, and compliance. So these people, they play with the spreadsheets, Word document, PowerPoints, because their job is to identify the risks, identify the threats, write recommendations, write reports, provide KPIs to the management, do the security awareness and training work. So all of that consulting related thing is part of that GRC function. Security Operations Center, as we talked about, Security Operations Center, where you deploy technology, you monitor, assets of the organization, you do vulnerability assessment, penetration testing. This could be part of that as well. Forensic investigation could be part of that as well. Incident management or security incident management is part of that. So that is another key function within the security team. Security engineering and architecture. Here you can design security solutions or you can operate security solutions. So there are a lot of security technologies that you have in the organization. You need somebody to configure them. You need somebody to operate them. You need somebody to implement them. So that is a security engineering field. So where you play with the technologies like a firewall, antivirus, there are a lot of those technologies. You basically become a security engineer to configure those technologies and operate those technologies. Delivery management, which is more on the program management side or the project management side, where you take the ownership of the projects that you need to implement in the security department. You take requirements from the business, you take requirements from the technology teams and work with your team to implement solutions. So that's the delivery management. So, depending upon the organization, there could be more functions, but these are the four key areas that mid-sized organizations will have, to run a cybersecurity functions or cybersecurity organization. So if you want to start a cybersecurity career, you need to see, okay, where is the entry level, where I can go easily. If you have a little bit of experience, then you need to see, can I grow within the same department, or do I need to go to another department where I can get a little bit more experience and I can go within that department. So we'll talk about that actually when we go to the next slides, where we cover a cybersecurity career roadmap. I'll stop here and we can take questions if there is any questions, Mr. Yunus. You're on mute. Yunus, you are on mute. You're on mute.
My apologies. So Mr. Rizwan just added a comment. You can either read it or I will read that for you guys. Add in consulting as one of the fields to grow. Actually, security consulting, business to technical architecture consulting as well. Mr. Rizwan, you are welcome to add comment or speak up if you want.
Sure. Just wanted to add the fact that, what Salman has talked about definitely makes sense, but there, just wanted to add one aspect to it, is that whole field of consulting, right? When you talk about network security or for that matter, anything else, there is a lot of demand with regards to working with the business to understand their needs and to guide them through a process of what their needs can be converted into a technical aspect, which field, what do they need to deploy, how it is, and how it needs to be done. So that is obviously not an entry level. It needs a lot of experience in understanding the solutions and the needs, but that's definitely one of the fields which is growing quite a lot. And it spans different sectors. So it's not specific to network security or risk and compliance, or it's a holistic approach to a security methodology and thought process. So just wanted to add that part.
Thank you.
Very valuable comment, I think. And I think I just want to add something here. I think what Salman, you have been telling so far, what I'm getting, correct me if I'm wrong. So I think for a beginner, you give a very good, solid background that where he can start from. For a seasoned IT professional, there is a lot of choices that anybody can have, whether it's he's working in infrastructure, he's working as a network engineer, he's working in the conventional security, related to firewalls and everything. He's a software developer. So he can, from anywhere, he can actually redirect him towards the security.
My focus was a little bit on the junior and the entry level, but absolutely you are right. For seasoned professionals, actually there is no limitation, because senior professionals, they can even become a CISO. Actually, they can become a head of a security department, because what is the most important for a head of security department is the soft skills and how to deal with the business. And I can give you, at one point of time, I was working with an organization and my boss had no cybersecurity knowledge. My boss came from the accounting background, and that person was running the department, because the communication, interaction with the leaders, interaction with the business, managing the team was the key expertise required at that level. So if you are an experienced person, if you have basically already in the industry and you have established yourself and you want to come to security, with your organization maybe would give you that opportunity. And in many organizations, if you are basically established person and you have done all the other work, and you have a brand within the organization, they can move you to security department as a leader,
as long as you know the business,
as long as you know how to deal with the people and how to manage people.
Excellent. Any other comments, guys? Please go ahead if you would like to add something or ask something before we move on to the next slide. I think you're good to move on.
Okay, so we move on to the cybersecurity career roadmap. So guys, with the full disclaimer, I am not providing a roadmap that is customized to your needs. I am providing a very high level roadmap for some of the roles within the organizations, and I'm giving examples of the titles and the certifications. For every role within the organizations and for every career track, there are not hundreds, there are a number of certifications available. There are university degrees, there are institutes who can offer all of these trainings. If I start putting the list of those certifications, maybe we need another 2 to 3 hours just to focus only on one track. So in my roadmap here, I'm providing a very high level information with some of the examples of the certifications and the titles, but this will give you at least a good starting point. So career roadmap, basically you start as an intern or the analyst, and some of the roles to grow into that, basically you can start as a risk analyst, you can start as a SOC analyst, we also call it a security analyst. So those are entry level roles where basically you have a little bit of security experience, you have a diploma or a 6 months program, you have certifications, either CompTIA Security Plus or Azure Security or something like of that sort. And then you can go to the next level, which is basically you become a domain expert. So domain expert means you take one domain of network security and you become expert in the firewall management. You take a domain of penetration testing and you become expert in the penetration testing. You take a domain of vulnerability assessment and you become expert in how to basically run a vulnerability assessment tool. Or you can take a domain of cloud security and you can basically be expert on AWS security of the cloud. So that is a domain expertise. Or you can become a risk specialist, where you basically do all the risk assessments. The next level is the cybersecurity team lead, where you have a domain expertise. Now you want to manage teams. So you could basically run a team of penetration testers. You can have 2-3 people and you become basically a team lead, where you do engagements, you run the teams, you deliver projects. You could be a team lead or a supervisor in a SOC environment. You could be a SOC supervisor, or you could be a team lead, like on the risk consulting or the compliance side. And after that, you go to the management, where you could be, like a manager of a certain function. So we talked about the functions, like a security architect could be one function, delivery of the security programs could be another function, security operations center could be another function, governance, risk and compliance could be another function. Bigger organizations have risk as a separate function, governance as a separate function, compliance as a separate function. You could be basically the manager of one of those functions. And this way you can basically grow your career. So this is a very high level view of basically starting as an intern, domain expert, team lead, and become a manager. The next is basically example of a management track, where if you are interested to become a CISO, means the head of the security department. What you can do, to attain that title or the position in the organization, and what certifications are required. So this is not the exhaustive list. These are some of the examples because there are plenty of certifications. You can start as an analyst, you become a security lead, you do basically SSCP certification, you become like a security lead with the CISO certification, you can do CISSP as well, and then you can do CISO. Although there is no certification required for head of the security department, you need business acumen, you need business knowledge, you need relationship building, you need leadership, you need resource management, you need you need to be a better coach, you need to be a better mentor. All of those things are more important than all of these certifications and the security experience. So that's why becoming a security head of the security department or the CISO, if you have technical knowledge, this is good. But if you don't have a technical knowledge and you are already proven leader in another function, you can easily transition into head of security role. Security Operations Center. This is more technical role because you will be dealing with the technical teams. So Security Operations Center is not a people manager role. It's a technical manager role where you need to manage people, but you need to understand the technology as well. So for that, you need to basically start from the analyst, you become a senior analyst, you become a security engineer, then you become a SOC supervisor, you have a domain experience of the vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, Security Operations Center, threat hunting, little bit of security incident management, and then you can basically run a Security Operations Center. So key requirements are you need to be a technical person, you need to have the technical knowledge, certifications would help, but at the same time, you need to then convert yourself into a people manager because you need to deal with the people, people, you need to manage people, and then you need to interact with the business as well because you need to explain to the business, if there is any security incident, how to work with the business to basically resolve that incident, recover the business. So that's why soft skills and the technical skills are important for this role. Governance, risk and compliance. So this is another area where even, you have IT consulting experience, you have a business analyst experience. Even if you have a risk management experience, you can come to this area because here you don't need to configure technology. You need to understand what the threats are, what the risks are, and how to map those risks to your business processes is more important. So you can basically become a senior analyst, you can become a risk specialist, governance specialist, compliance specialist. Here you can also go to IT audit, or if you're an IT auditor, you can come to this area. And then you can basically become a team lead, either of the compliance team, risk team, or you can become a GRC manager within the organization. Solutions architect, very technical role. Again, like in order to become a solution architect, you need to understand the technology. So if you are already a solution architect on the technology side, pure IT, you can learn security and then you can become a security solution architect. But this is basically a role for the people who understand the technology, who have been basically implementing, design the technology, and they basically can use that experience to become a solution architect on the security side. I will, take a pause here if there is any questions before I go to the next slide. And next slide will be the wrap up of what we have discussed, and that will be the last slide from my side. So happy to take any questions here.
I don't see anything in the chat window. So if anybody would like to have the question answered here, please don't hesitate to ask the questions, Salman.
Okay, so going to the last slide, basically, just wrapping up, how you can basically come to security field and how you can be successful in that. There are training opportunities. You can basically register for the conferences, training, seminars, and you can attend that. There are basically 2 days training, 3 days training, 5-day training, depending upon the training and who's offering those training. And then you can basically even complete the track of the trainings. If you want to be a penetration tester, there are maybe 3 or 5 trainings for that. So 5 days each, and then basically, you take one training, little bit experience, then come back and take second training and third training, and you basically complete the track. That is one option. And there are training institutes like EC Council, SANS, Mile2, InfoSec Institute. There are a lot of those, training provider. Those are expensive sometimes, but usually companies can pay if they want you to retain. Usually they can pay for those training. Education is another way to learn cybersecurity. There are diploma programs, there are bachelor's degree programs, there are master programs, and even there are PhD programs in cybersecurity. So that is another way, basically, if you are thinking, for your kids or maybe somebody, younger brother or sister or any other person who you want to bring to cybersecurity field, this is a good starting point. Enroll them into a cybersecurity education program. Job shadowing is another thing where if you have some experience in IT and you want to come to security, or even if you don't have a technology experience and you want to come to security, what you can do is basically you can start shadowing the security people. And I know some organizations, they have that program where you can basically, step into their security shoes and work with the security team for 2-3 weeks. And then after that, go back to your field or go back to your job. But if you get interested in that, then you can come back and have a proper shadowing program over a period of 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, depending upon what company can offer. And I know some companies have that job shadowing program. If companies don't have, you can do job shadowing in your free time, like either part-time or the weekends. If you are really interested in the security program or security jobs, you can do that job shadowing. Like if somebody is doing security consulting, you can basically just tag along and say, okay, I want to learn with you, and you can shadow that consultant. Practical labs. So there are a lot of actually practical labs available, or you can set up some labs. There are some paid services, some free services, and you can start basically testing. Like if you want to be a security pen tester or vulnerability assessor, there are practical labs. You can basically spin those labs and start practicing. Other things which are very related is you need to basically have a mentor. You need to basically have like these groups. You need to basically be around people who are in the cybersecurity or the security field, so you can learn from them. At the end, it's all about you need to decide what area of cybersecurity you want to go into. If cybersecurity is the right field for you, then you need to do a little bit of research. Like within cybersecurity, what area is of your interest? Is it a security operations center? Is it a penetration testing? Is it a forensics? It is a risk and compliance? It is a cloud security? Is it a security architect? Or is it a security project management? So based on that, then you can start preparing yourself. If you are thinking about your kids or younger people, in the family or friends, then I think you can guide them to come to cybersecurity. They can, start with the educational program, either bachelor's degree or a diploma. And when they come into cybersecurity, they can see, what area is of their interest. Typically, people start with the technical set, and then slowly they move to the management, because, some people, they can't stay in the technical side forever. So security operations center is usually a first job for people. They go to penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, they become SOC supervisor, then slowly they move to risk analyst, compliance, project management, and then they can basically go for the head of security department job. So that's it from my side. I will hand over mic back to Mr. Yunus.
Thank you so much, Salman. I have got 2 more questions. Came from the participants. I'll read one of them to you. Do you see a role for those who have a math/stats background? For example, anomaly detection.
There is certainly a role for those people in the security operations center. So those.
Would you elaborate more so that the participant can understand that in SOC how it could help for him?
So this is what you do in a SOC environment actually. So when we say security operations center, one of the key things in the security operations center is you have a technology that is monitoring all of your assets. So any suspicious activities, any anomalies happening to those assets will be converted into alerts, and it will come to your security operations center tool. We call it SIM. And then it will come to your screen and it will say, okay, these are the alerts, these are the assets which are impacted by that alert. And then you basically start taking actions So that is basically one area where if you have a little bit of experience in the anomaly detection, little bit of a NOC environment, then certainly you can come to Security Operations Center.
Salman, I think we should clarify one of the two things here, that what is SOC, which is Security Operations and Control, and what is SOC 1 and 2, because the newcomers got confused between these two terminologies.
So SOC, which is basically SOC, Security Operations Center, is a technology function within a security department, where your job is to monitor the activities or to monitor all of your assets. And if there are any anomalies or security incidents, you take action. And then you basically work with the incident management team to resolve those risks or those threats or those incidents. So that is a technical function very much similar to NOC, which is a Network Operations Center. Yeah. SOC 1 and SOC 2, those are assurance reports which are required from the suppliers. For example, as a company, as a business, I want to buy a technology from another company. So what I will ask that company is, give me your assurance report. Give me assurance you have security controls in place. So how they can do that, they can call any of the Big Four or any of the audit firms, and those audit firms will come. They will assess their environment. They will assess all the controls in place, and they will write a report to them telling them, okay, these are the controls you already have implemented, and these are the gaps that you need to implement. So that is called assurance report that will be issued by those audit firms, independent audit firms, to that company, and that company can provide to me as a customer. So if I see a report coming from a supplier and that report is written by an independent audit firm, I will rely on that report and I will not ask them, show me your security controls, how you implemented security controls. So those are assurance reports which are usually provided by the suppliers based on the requirements from the customers.
So the terminology seems very close for the beginner, but it is two entirely different things. Yes. An operation and control center where actually someone is monitoring, and then SOC, which is SOC 1 and SOC 2 are two different type of reports based on the requirements of the client or the business holders of what actually they want to pass on, SOC 1 or SOC 2, and depending on those reports, I believe that you can pass certain type of audit.
Yes. So those are more like assurance and audit reports, yeah.
So I think that should have made it clear. Okay, I'll go back to another question. There is no career roadmap for project manager with security skill set. I think he's trying to comment on your slide that you haven't mentioned any career roadmap for.
So as I said, I'm not covering all the roadmaps and I'm not covering all the certifications, because even if you see a penetration tester, there is a junior penetration tester, there is a senior penetration tester, there is a team lead penetration tester. So for each of those roles, there are different certifications, there is a different experience. So if we try to elaborate, it will take a lot of time. But if you want to be a project manager and you already have a cybersecurity knowledge, I think the best thing is to start learning the business, start learning how to do resource management, how to do financial analysis, how to do time management. If you have, if you have a business acumen and little bit of leadership skills and the security knowledge, you could be a very successful project manager.
Great, Salman, I have got, I think, 2 more questions.
And there are some certifications available, like a PMP is there, Scrum Master certifications are there. So those certifications help. If you have, like a stamp, like you are a PMP certified, you are a program management certified, or you are a Scrum certified, those certifications will help.
Excellent. What is the recommended path if someone don't have a math background? I think this question comes in contrast of that other question that we saw earlier.
I was in an organization that had around 80 security people, and head of that security department was master's in criminology. No math background. So there is no requirement to have a math background to be in a security field. You know, it all depends, because security field, as I said, it's very vast. You could be a security project manager. You could be a GRC consultant. Like, you know, a lot of actually non-technical people, they are coming to security as a security consultant or a compliance role or a governance role, you know, or even, you know, like or the project manager. So math background is not required actually, until unless you go and work in a firm that is developing security products. Remember, there are different fields. So usually my focus in the presentation was like a banks, big organizations, where you can go and work as a security professional. There are other companies who develop these technologies. For example, you know, like firewall is developed by Juniper, antivirus is by Trend Micro, Rapid7. These companies, they develop technologies. So if you want to go and work in those companies and develop these technologies, you need to have a different level of skill set. Maybe math is more required there, programming is required there, engineering is required there. But that was a less focus of my presentation.
We have got another question from the gentleman asking, who are cryptographers? I have seen positions in banks, what they actually do.
I maybe Rehan can talk more about that cryptographing and cryptographer, but you know,
Salman, I think Rehan already left.
He already left. Might... Okay. Yeah. So you know, it all depends. You know, what is their job? I have not seen the job role or the job description, so it's very difficult for me to comment on what those cryptographers are. But those could be the people in the organization that actually help to you know, secure the secret keys. So you know, if those are cryptographers and they are part of that bigger program where they need to build you know, PKI system or a secret key vault, then they work as a security or cryptography analyst or cryptography architect. But if they are operational people, but usually those things are automated. But if they are you know, like operational people, then maybe they are managing those keys. So, but in normal organizations, I will not see that as a role, cryptographer.
Okay, Adam, I think added another question related to his previous, but I am unable to understand what exactly he's trying to say. So Adam, you are more than welcome to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question directly if you want.
Thank you. The question is it vulnerability and risk assessment analysis of the devices, products? Is it, what is the scope of it? And is it more technical side or is it more management side?
Okay. So vulnerability assessment and the risk assessment, these are two different things. But vulnerability assessment is a subset of the risk assessment, because when you do risk assessment, you need to understand what are the vulnerabilities related to technology, people, and processes. So how you identify the technical vulnerabilities, you run a scanner. The scanner will basically tell you what are the gaps. So I give you an example of a Windows server. If you're doing a risk assessment of a Windows server, you need to understand what are the technical vulnerabilities, what are the process vulnerabilities, and what are the people vulnerabilities on that Windows server. That is called risk assessment. In order to identify the technical vulnerabilities, you will run a vulnerability scanner. That will basically grab a list of all the security loopholes or the vulnerabilities or the gaps on the Windows server. So that is only one component. And then you will take that results and use in your risk assessment.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Yeah, please.
What is the certification path for this?
So if you want to be a vulnerability assessment person, you can, so there are a couple of things actually you can do. You can be a person who runs the tool and generate a report. For that, you need to understand the tool. So there are 5 or 6 or 10 companies who provide these tools. So you can learn how to run that tool. You can learn how to configure that tool, and then you can run the report and provide to the people, and they can read and and take actions. The other thing that you can do is you can basically work as a liaison between security teams and the patch management team, where somebody runs a report, hand over to you, you understand the vulnerabilities, you do the impact assessment of the vulnerabilities, understand which one needs to be fixed first, and then you work with the patch management team to fix those vulnerabilities. So for the first one, if you want to be a person who configures the technology, you need to basically work on the technology and understand how to configure that. If you want to take the second role, you don't need to understand the technology, but you need to understand the process. You need to understand what those vulnerabilities are. And for that, you can take it basically the training of vulnerability assessment courses, or the penetration testing courses would help as well.
Do you run these vulnerability testing courses, or do you recommend anything?
I don't run those courses, but those courses are available actually from EC Council, SANS, Mile2. These are there are many institutes, but if you Google vulnerability assessment courses from EC Council, Mile2, or SANS, you will get actually some of the courses from there.
Could you please repeat that institute's names again?
It's a SANS, SANS, EC Council, and Mile2. And there are other certificates. There are other training institutes as well. If you just Google, vulnerability assessment training, I'm sure you will find something on Google. Or security vulnerability assessment training, you will find something.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that was it. I don't have any other questions. If anyone would like to have any questions, please go ahead. Feel free to ask the questions. What I would recommend to, some of the questions were like how to do this, how to do that. I think a good way is actually to connect yourself with the right people. This session is actually one of the resources which can guide you to go towards connecting with the right people. So what I would suggest, I am going to share my personal LinkedIn profile, so everybody can connect with me. And if all of you would like to share your LinkedIn profile into the chat window, please feel free to do so. And then from there, actually, this will be a seed path to go and then build your own network with the right professional that you should be with to grow your career into this direction. So you can browse through my contacts. I think Salman would not mind it either to connect with him on the LinkedIn. And I won't mind if you would have any questions to me asking on the LinkedIn as well.
For new immigrants who have international experience in cybersecurity and they want to basically get into the local market, I usually work with Access Employment. So Access Employment is basically a nonprofit organization that helps new immigrants. So if you are a cybersecurity professional and you are looking for a job, or anybody in your circle looking for a job, you can reach out to Access Employment. And usually for cybersecurity, mentoring, coaching, they will refer to me. There are other people they can refer to as well, but there is a
I'm sorry. Can you refer again the name of the company?
That's called Access Employment, ACCESS Employment. Google it, you will find that actually this is one of the nonprofit organization. They help new immigrants to, they basically hook you up with the right people. So those people will work with you to build your CV, to build your profile, to coach you, which organizations are good for you, how you can basically do the job search. If you are looking for the training, education, they can guide you as well. So I usually, guide people through that platform. But if you want to work with me directly, and I'm sure I can do that as well. But if you want to basically go to the proper channel and get some support of an organization, that is another way of doing it. So
I can use you directly connect.
Yeah, you can message me, and sure, if I have answers of your questions, I would be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
This is wonderful. Thank you. Any follow-up questions, any comments, please feel free to add. And as a closing remarks, I would like to thank Salman, and I would like to invite Mr. Dennis in a moment to give us the closing remarks. So please, I have shared my LinkedIn profile already, so you as well do so. And if you would like to connect, all of you are more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, Salman, and thank you very much, everyone, for attending this session.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for
Over
having
to
me.
you, Dennis.
Thank you, Yunus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Salman.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Salman. I really appreciate it. It's a great talk. And yeah, hopefully your contact information as well is on I think the first slide of this presentation had your background information. I assume there's an email address there. I didn't make a note of it, but there's
no, actually, I didn't put the email address there, but yeah, LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. You just message, Salman Ashraf, security, and I will come on the LinkedIn.
Okay.
Most probably I will be the first one on the LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the offering, for presenting tonight. It was a wonderful presentation. And thanks, Yunus, for organizing and moderating this. And thanks to everyone who came.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks, everyone.
Right.
Salman, can I request you to stay here for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
I have got one of the gentlemen who's need to ask some personal career development question. And go ahead, you can direct message to Salman, and then Salman can either direct message to your answering the question. And if you would like to stay further long and to have this conversation to him, just wait for everybody else to go away from the meeting, and then you can ask the question to Salman directly. But unfortunately, I have to be there as a moderator.
You're doing good work there.